Yay!
Yay! I love the opening face you got frozen with. See, I don't know if you saw it, but when it opens up, your face is like.
Hey, welcome to Tuesday the 13th, September 13, right? We're here. Really grateful for another day. The sun going through here along with. Hey, Grace, can you hear
We're here to raise the roof, apparently.
Tracy, can you hear me?
You're a little muffled.
Can you hear me? Just a tad, she says. Just a tad. How about now?
Yeah, there you go. You're back.
Oh my goodness.
that music place is like, wait a minute, I'm not done.
Oh my goodness. Tracy, can you hear me? Tracy, can you hear me?
Not over the lovely sounds we've got going on.
I know I turned the wrong volume. I think this one controls is a master volume, and I'm touching it and moving it down, thinking I'm doing the music, right? But hey,
I'm gonna color code those for you, Wulwyn. The blue button, Wulwyn. The blue button.
Oh, okay, not the red one, right?
Right.
How are you doing today, Tracy?
I'm doing great. It's been a jam-packed couple of weeks since the last time we spoke. So lots been going on.
Gotcha.
How are you doing?
I'm doing.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. It has been a good 2 weeks. Verlin got home safely from traveling overseas, and she's here jumping in civic duties. So I'm excited. I'm happy she's here. So
I bet. Yeah, no wonder you said you've been feeling happy. There you go. You got your wife with you for the first time in a long time.
There you go. So no, it's since May, right? I returned August. So it was roughly 2 or 3 weeks in. She was back in my arms.
Yeah. How long is she going to be staying there in Liberia?
We aren't sure, but I hope for a long time.
Oh yeah, I hear you. Well, now that the kids are both officially out of the house, correct? I mean, in school.
Out of the house. Yes, they're in school, so nobody needs to be at the house. Now I wonder if folks are watching on Facebook who says there's nobody in Wulwyn's house. Let's go there.
Yeah. No, people are there, just not the family.
Oh no, they are. Though we have
people watching the house. Can we make that clear? It's just the family is elsewhere. Don't get any funny ideas, people.
I know. Oh,
Have you guys seen? Has anybody seen the crazy guard dogs at Wulwyn's house? Like, you do not want to mess with that.
I mean, there's a bull, there's a Rottweiler and a German Shepherd.
A couple of Dobermans. Yeah, don't mess with it.
Look, is there going to be a quirky one?
I think so. Well, you said that. Yeah, you said that before we came on. You felt quirky today. I like that. And I'm making all sorts of sorry. I like.
There you go.
I got my jingle jangles on. So anytime I talk with my hands a lot, like
Oh, what's on your mind? What's on? And to all of you who are watching now, I see somebody's on there and coming on. Please let us know where you're logging in from, watching from. Please jump into the conversation because we're kind of lonely here.
It gets more interesting that way. We have somebody at the other side of the otherwise we're just playing pickleball, racquetball, tennis, whatever on this side, whatever you want to call it. Pickleball. So have you played pickleball?
Yes, I have.
It is like all the rage now. So my husband has been
explain what it is for those who don't know so they understand.
Oh well, yeah. So I mean, and I don't want to offend anybody. You know how I have to let me start with my little preamble. I don't want to offend anybody. So anyway, my husband has been video recording this pickleball championship tournament thing for the last I don't know how many years, 5, 6 years. There's a guy that up in Montreat, which is up in the mountains here in North Carolina. He has this huge pickleball tournament camp weekend extravaganza thing, and part of it is a training type of thing, and so he has Jeff come in and video the different people playing, and then they get to watch their video tapes and they get to make adjustments and get coached on it, all that stuff. So he goes up for the weekend to do the video work for this. And so when he first started doing it, he gets a call from this guy and he's like, I want you to come and film this pickleball. What the heck is pickleball? I mean, you get these visualizations, you hear pickleball, I'm like, I can only imagine. And so then the guy's trying to explain it, it's like, well, you got a wiffle ball and you got a large ping pong racket and you're on a tennis court. And I'm like,
yep.
What's going on in my head is, what kind of crazy is going on? Well, and then it started out with older people. And so then I'm thinking, I've got this visual of these little people shuffling around, with this large ping pong racket and a wiffle ball. I'm like, somebody's gonna get hurt. The teacher in me is like, oh, this sounds like a bad idea. But yeah, so I went up, I think year 3, because it just happens to fall on the same weekend did that year of my wedding anniversary. So Jeff's like, hey, why don't, I'm only filming a certain amount of the day, and we can go up to Montreat and we can celebrate and all that. So we went up, and the place is really awesome. So the hotel is like this old, it feels like an old chateau.
So here's pickleball on the screen.
There's pickleball. There it is. Yeah. I'm sure people so now since then it's become who doesn't know about pickleball these days?
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
Don't want to offend anybody if you didn't hear of it before. But like famous people, Oprah's talking about how she's got a pickleball. Everybody's in pickleball now. And what's great about it is that it's all ages. I think that's not to say golf and tennis and is not all the same, but you don't tend to see different ages playing with one another in other sports. I mean, golf maybe, but it tends to kind of gravitate towards most sports towards the same age group, whereas pickleball, you'll see people of all ages out there playing with one another. Yes. Because it's one of those sports where, because of kind of the cadence of it and how it works. I mean, not to say that some people don't have some mean shots in pickleball, but yeah. Anyway, I'm talking way too much about this, but and for a person who's never personally played, I've actually never played pickleball.
You've never?
Never.
Are you serious?
I have a professional racket. The guy who does the tournament gave Jeff and I both these beautiful professional rackets. And we keep saying we're going to go play pickleball, but I'm a
It's
tennis
fun.
player. I did USTA tennis, and so
It's
for
fun.
it's just like it's a hard sell
I
for
know.
me. So
I
I'm
know.
sure when I get out there, Jeff's whole family plays. They're like pickleball maniacs. They
Hmm.
play all the
Hmm.
time. So anyway, I'm sure I'll get out there soon. But
Yeah. So yeah, as you said, holes are in the ball, so it's not really. I don't think it has a whole lot of force. So air is holding the force, but you have to really hit it, and it's fun. I've played it at the rec center in Apex,
okay.
and there were older and there were older an older couple asked us to play, and I was like, you really? I'm gonna chew you up. And they're like, yeah. I said that. I was like, some people really wants to play. I said, come on, let's play. And that thing has techniques that you just what you thought that it's older people, but he was hitting angles, and I was like, oh no, what are you doing? What are you
Oh
doing? And
no,
you
yeah.
have to adjust to tennis. I don't play tennis. I've played it, but I'm not an avid player. And I'm thinking I'm going to hit that ball is going to go like, yeah, air's passing through me, so I'm just going to cruise and do what I have to do. But it is fun to play. I must say.
Mhm.
I
Get
must
intense.
say, pickleball. That's a good.
Pickleball. I don't know how it got its name. That I would be. If anybody listening knows how pickleball got its name, I'd love to know because that I don't. But
Pickles.
no, yeah, I don't even remember how we got on this topic.
I don't know how we got. Hey, Melvin, Jeff Phillips, how are you?
Melvin Jeff Phillips.
So Melvin P. Diggs, welcome. How are you doing? Good to see you. Jeff Phillips, yeah, this guy's going to be the
Easy
national
living longer gets
spokesperson.
people. Yep.
That's true. But the exercise, I like how it's not as stressful. I don't think it's as stressful as tennis, as
No,
your
and
thing.
you mentioned it's fun.
It's
It's fun.
fun.
And I think that's kind of the magic word of the day these days. Is I was talking
Yes.
to a client about this a couple days ago,
It's fun.
in the fun piece. And I'm like, how I preamble a lot of things is the question is, does this feel like it would be fun? Right? This new opportunity, this new engagement. Because I mean, for so long, we've been kind of put in this box of like, gotta do it. Like it's gonna be good on my resume, or,
Well,
I want to push myself to overcome my limits, which, is all good
yeah,
stuff. Like I'm
yeah,
not saying we shouldn't or can't do that.
yeah.
But the fun piece has almost been frivolous in the past. It's like, fun. No, it's got to be grind and grit and hard
Correct.
work and
Yeah.
push it out and all of this stuff. Somehow that's equated to success and value.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I think we're shifting in this, like, yeah, but is it fun? Because I can do all those things. I can grind and I can work hard and all that. But if I'm having fun, it's a whole different experience than if
Yes.
I literally
Yes.
feel like I have to extract fun, like I have to pull fun out because it's not serious or it's not worthy or it's not whatever, fill in the blank.
Yeah.
Think about the lives we've lived, especially if we spend a lot of time at work. If we've been
Yeah.
extracting, like taking out fun from everything because otherwise it's not serious and it's not good
Ooh.
work, it's not
Ooh.
true to,
Yeah.
the highest level of capacity,
Mm.
then we've been really, really cheating ourselves of
Yeah.
having experiences where we can overcome amazing odds and have fun doing it.
Hmm. You say that, and it's just what we started with before. Say, how was I feeling? I think it's going to be quirky today, and I even love the way the word sounds, right?
Mhm.
Quirky. So as you were saying what you were as you were saying, do we have to be all serious and oh, uh, I'm going to be childlike,
Yeah.
not childish,
Mhm.
right? I'm going to be childlike in my engagements. I'm going to be childlike in my discovery. Uh, so Jeff, imagine if most people jobs were fun, the world would be a happier place. Yes, I'm
Heck
going to be
yes. Amen to
childlike.
that.
I'm going to be childlike in my engagements. Uh, and I think, Jeff, what you said was something I wanted to say, but in a different way was imagine if we all operated passionately with what we were doing. Because I think passion passion has a way. Some people would say, to take it seriously per se, but I think my passion, the way I would flow in doing it is not, I'm not going to be as serious as a job, right? I'm passionate about, like, coming on this. I thought about it. It's like, oh, I got to do this. And my heart went, just because it's something that I have to do, right? Skipped a beat. But then I said, oh no, I love doing that. So I'm looking forward to it versus, oh no, I'm not going to do that. I can't. Traci and I don't like that thing is so dry or whatever it
Drives me
oh,
crazy. Girl
or
won't shut up.
whatever. I know, right? Of whatever it is that you're doing, it's, and I think the fun meter, if the fun meter is zero, I'm not going to say drop it. Find a way to have fun doing it because I think it passes time quickly or quicker.
Yes, that's a really good point. And I think passion and purpose, I mean, we hear this all the time, but there's really good reason for it. When passion meets purpose or purpose meets passion, we've got a great recipe there because, you can have passion without purpose and you're just like all over the map. You can have purpose without passion and then it can feel like a grind a lot of the time. And so you've got both of those together. And that way, if you're passionate about it and you're purposeful in it, as it shifts and changes, which, hey, by the way, people, we had learned nothing since 2020, things shift and change where you least expect it. You can't control those factors. And the more you try to, the less fun it is,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The more you really get disillusioned in a lot of ways and disappointed because your expectations are constantly being challenged. But the passion and purpose part then allows us to just say, okay, pivot. Reminds me of that famous episode in Friends. Pivot. And I mean, we need to be able to have that for ourselves, but also be in a position where we're not taking it all too seriously.
Yeah.
Like my everything, I mean, it generalizes it makes it less about the thing and more about saying, okay, even if the thing changes, I can just shift my passion and purpose on whatever has been created in that shift and change, right? That doesn't have to go away. But if we try to focus on the thing instead of the passion and purpose, if that thing goes away or changes, now that feels like a failure, right? But I can pour my passion and purpose into anything. I mean, I could start with something that then changes halfway through, and I can still apply my passion and purpose to that.
Yeah.
Right. So we're working with things that are fluid instead of, specific and static. Right. And what's the word I'm looking for? Fixed.
Gotcha. As you're saying that, I'm telling myself I want to be in neutral all the time, and neutral meaning not someone can push me into a place where I don't want to be or a twig floating in the Nile. No, I'm neutral in the sense that as I am purposefully walking, as I'm passionately doing what God has put me here on earth to do, the Holy Spirit who guides me, I have to be neutral because today, if I'm going north, tomorrow he's going to tell me, hey, dude, go south. Oh, no, that's backwards. Who told you it was backwards? Right? Some people would say, I don't want to go back. But no, there's something that needs to be learned there. And I think one thing that I think this segues, I'm going to segue into this right now because it's been led. And the reason why I'm happy today, I want to explain that to you in this. Yeah. Quirky. Okay. I was 3 or 4 months ago, I'm driving, went to my brother-in-law's house in Liberia, and we're sitting down. It's time for me to leave. I get up, I sit. 2 hours of doing that. I'm like, man, I got to leave now. So I got in the car. I'm leaving, bye. Run to the car, picked up, made a right, and the high beams on. And as I turned the corner, I think I told you the story before, my beam went on this child under the street lights. And it's a street light, and he's there, just look, his head's down. So I drive by him, looking. And as I pass him, the Holy Spirit says, Wulwyn, reverse. I'm like, reverse for what? No. What? So now north. So the reason why it came to me because I said north and then south, right? So I reversed and I got down. I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm studying. I'm like, you're studying? I'm like, school isn't open. Why? What are you doing studying under the street light? Like, I just like to study. Like, nah. I said, nah, you're not just studying. What I am. So I said, let me see the book. And I look at I don't know what phonics or social studies book. I look at him and I say, okay, at that time, because a grown up is talking to a child at night, people start to converge to see if I'm thinking of picking up the kid and putting him in the truck and running away with them. So they come and go, what's happening here? I'm like, no, I'm amazed that he's studying. Oh, that's John. John always does that. I'm like, John, where's your mom? His mom comes running. I'm like, is he in school? Yeah. But I said, okay, you know what? I want to put him on scholarship. Great. Long story short, when I left, they kept calling me my Liberian number phone, but I wasn't because I was taking care of my daughter. I return, I get a call, school's about to start. I'm like, oh, great. So I'm thinking it's one of those things where I would just go in the foundation because so what I'm happy about is we signed John up to us as one of our first scholars.
Aw.
Right. So it's something. So purpose and passion again it's falling in here because I'm doing this because God told me, hey, you got to go around the world and build schools, churches, hospitals, clinics, etc., and put folks on scholarships. So I'm happy because went to the bank and paid his tuition in full, his uniforms, etc. I got a picture here, but I didn't set it up because I didn't think of sharing. But today I went there and I spent almost the entire day there. And I'm looking at the time saying, God, I got to go. I got to run to Traci. I got to run. So this thing better don't. However, it ended in time. The point is, I was sitting there as if I was sitting for one of my kids. I was sitting there because I hadn't done this in a long time. I haven't gone into. I did it since Jazz was in ninth grade. I mean, we would go to PTAs and stuff, but not to enroll, right? Because enrollment is once and then stay in the school for forever per se. But I'm there with this kid and I'm looking at him, and the people are asking, "Who is he to you?" I said, he's a high beam to me. So what do you mean?
Got him in my high beams. Yeah.
He said, yeah. I said, he's a high beam. Like what? I said, well, my high beams were on and I saw him and I said, hey. And it said, where do you live? I said, I live there. And it says, he lives here? I'm like, yeah. So the bottom line, Traci, is this. The thing that the blessing that is supposed to be yours is going to find you wherever you are, doing the thing that you need the most assistance with, which says, don't be waiting for someone to come and help you, but be doing what you're supposed to be doing, and then someone will come and assist you in lifting it up. So why am I joyful? Why am I quirky? I'm just excited that where we look for our kids when they're going to college to get scholarships, etc. This kid is going to school tuition free, and it's something I'm looking for my kids, and I'm saying I'm going to do it for this kid. I don't care if it happens for me. I can kind of pay, but I'm doing it for this kid, so it's exciting.
Well, it meets your passion and purpose. I love that story because and I always tell my clients this, like when we set intentions, I'm like, get ready, because it's the same thing as prayers, to God. It's what are you saying you want? Because as soon as you clarify that and you state that, get ready. And it's not always going to come in the way, like you were saying, you weren't expecting this kid to be on the side of the road at night. It's not going to come. You want love let's say you're in a situation in your home life and you want love, you don't feel love or whatever, and then this other thing comes in and shows you a different way, and you're like, but I have to cling to this. It has to be
Mm,
like this. I need
yeah.
love in this way, in this family situation, in this, and it's just you're not getting it. You're not getting it. But this other thing is given to you. But it's like, but I can't leave this. That's
Mm,
like God saying, I'm giving you what you asked for, but you have to make some changes to
wow.
your expectations of how that's going to look and
Ooh.
feel.
Ooh, yeah, 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 yeah.
Because if you're not willing, like you said, neutral, neutrality means that we let go. And this is not an easy thing for human beings. We let go of expectations. We accept how things come in. We allow
Mm,
ourselves to be surprised. We allow the magic to happen. We don't over
yeah.
question who, me, really me. I mean, you asked for it, didn't you?
Yep.
Said you
Yep.
wanted it. Oh, I don't know if
Hmm.
I'm ready. Okay, that's fair. Get yourself
Mm,
ready then, because
yeah,
those things are coming in. So
they
prepare
are.
thyself for what you say you want. And if you find
Mm,
that that's not really what you want, then get clear again.
yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think your point is that we oftentimes are always asking for things and getting them, but because they don't come in the way that we expected, we miss it. We miss
Ooh,
the opportunity. We tell ourselves stories, but it has to look like this. It has
yeah.
to be this. It has to be that. And God's just, I mean, again, I know I've used this a million times, but that picture of Jesus with the big teddy bear, and
Uh-huh.
the little girl, she's clinging to that old, fallen
Uh,
apart teddy bear, and he has his one hand out saying, "Trust me," asking for that old, worn out teddy bear, and behind his back, she can't see. There's that new brand new
ooh.
teddy bear, and she doesn't even know that it's available. She doesn't even know what's coming. She just knows she has to give up one thing to get something better than she could ever imagine. But that's that trust and faith, but to be neutral. That's hard.
Wow.
That's hard. So
Wow. Wow.
congratulations on recognizing the opportunity, even if you didn't fully get it
Wow.
until you got it.
Yeah, yeah, and you say this, and I'm in a mood for sharing. I'm in a mood for sharing, and here's where that when you said that, and I think what we'll add to the show for those of you who are listening on replay, sorry, go to YouTube or Facebook to get it, but here's that uh, visual on
There it is.
what you talked about, right?
Yeah,
Just
there
trust
it is.
me.
It's
But I
probably my
love it,
favorite
God. I
all time.
mean, oh wow, that I've never seen this, Tracy.
Mm,
I've never
I love
seen
it.
this. That I know that's it. And isn't that I think what you said, to your point, where uh the things that we're clinching and clinging on, and though we were asking for something better, like put it in my case, I could save $100 for a long time to pay my kids' tuition. Right? I could save $100 for a long time, for multiple months to save to pay. This kid tuition is less than $100, and I can take that and I can pour it into him. And
Mm.
his situation is changed. I went in the classroom. I'm like, can I go in the classroom? I go in class, and he's there writing his notes. And I'm looking. Yesterday he wasn't in school. He was playing around because he didn't have a thing. He was waiting. And now he's in school. I'm like, this is what a blessing. And I'm not, please, people don't misunderstand. I'm not saying, Wulwyn, I did this and I'm
Yeah,
sharing this
yeah.
to
You're
say,
not bragging.
no,
You're
no.
celebrating.
I'm celebrating and I'm saying, this is what a blessing looks like, that one day you could have zero clients, but you've been grinding, you've been doing it, you've had your 10,000 hours, and you've been at it religiously, passionately,
Because of passion and
purposefully.
purpose, yes. Not
Yes,
because you're told you have to.
correct. You're flowing with it, and you lift up your eyes and nothing. But there's a day coming, people, that this is your passion and your purpose, and this is your gut and your heart and your everything, that this is it. Trust and believe. Keep doing it. It's going to blow up. And by this time tomorrow, you may be sitting with too many clients you just don't have time for, and they have to be on a waiting list.
Yeah, well, and that's the upscaling, right? Like I tell people that all the time is part of why we want to be as intentional as possible is that, while we're waiting, we need to be, what do they say about the fishermen when they can't fish, they're mending their nets. They're
Mm,
creating that established foundation that can sustain what they're waiting for, right? So we want to make sure we have our ducks in a row. We want to make sure, I mean, there's no such thing as sitting around and waiting, really, if we're doing our life intentionally. Because if it's not
yes.
coming in yet, it means that there's still work to be done to prepare for it,
Say
right?
that
So
again,
part of
please.
what? What's that?
Please say that again.
Yeah, so if things don't seem to be happening, it's because other things need to be done to make room and to create that foundation so that we can sustain the things that we've asked to have come in.
Mm, thank you.
Right. And so when people are just sitting there going, well, I'm waiting, I'm like, well, if it's not coming, then there's still stuff for you to do. So let's figure out what that is. Like, because if it did come in, let's just go there for a second. Let's say that thing you are waiting for came in tomorrow and it lands in full glory. And now you, like, to your point, like you go from having 0 clients to 100. Oh, well, I couldn't do that. Okay. So what isn't
There
in
you go.
place for you to be able to sustain that? All right,
Mm,
so how many? Let's just think about how many you can. Like you go from 0. Could you go to 1 new client? Yeah. 2. Yeah. 3. Yeah. 4. Yeah. 5. Yeah.
mm.
6. Okay. So
Let's
if
see.
you now know you're ready for 5 clients, is there anything you could do while you're still waiting to get ready for 6 or more? Right?
Yes.
Like, and what is that going to take? Right? So there is no waiting in life. That's the stories we tell ourselves. There is relaxing, there is taking a break, but there is no waiting. If we're waiting, we are killing time, literally killing it. Boom. Like that time we don't get back. And then we do get to those because a lot of people only act in crisis. In other words, they wait, and then boom, it happens, and then they're in crisis,
Yeah.
right? But we can be more intentional. We can realize that if something's not happening, it's because something else needs to happen first. And it's up to us to figure out how to prep for that, how to prep ourselves again in passion and purpose.
Mm,
But I'll tell you what, there is no waiting in my world. Like,
mm,
no.
mm, mm,
Mm.
Wow. Wow. There's no waiting in life. Get ready for the next. So I gotta go down that path. You said you're doing your stress test. Can I do 1 year, 2 year, 3, 6? No. What can I do to do it? I think that's something, and that's introspection, right? Of whatever you're going through, if it's relationship, if it's business, if it's family, whatever you're going through, how can I build capacity? How can I build capacity to give more? Because you have the dream of speaking in front of a million people. Right? This is a good one. I have a dream of speaking in front of a million people, and I'm going to wait and get the million. Uh, but you haven't practiced what you would tell those million people yet, right? And I find myself, here's what, and I'm talking me. Say, I know there's a day coming. I will stand in a stadium, jam packed, and I will be speaking something that those people came to hear. That I am living and I'm practicing and I'm getting my 10,000 hours. And what I find myself doing is I'm giving those speeches in front of the furniture. I mean, I'm just speaking in front of the furniture and flowing and flowing and flowing. This what we're doing now. Before we started eavesdrop, I would I did one-on-one with my phone and put stuff on Instagram. I always said it, I was like, gosh, to see the crack in my tooth. Oh, to see my big ears. Oh, to see my eyes. And then all of a sudden, those things just didn't mean a thing to me. That it was the content. It was what I had to deliver. So it's never about you. It's what's in you. That
It's what
that the
comes from
world
you.
the
Yeah.
world is waiting, that for you to move your street clothes and put your Wonder Woman cape and your Superman cape on and hold space, because there are people waiting for you to come out and do what you've been put on this earth to do.
I love that. I don't subscribe. It's so funny. So much has shifted in me in my life, at this stage of it, is I don't subscribe to superheroes anymore. I think we're all average men and women that do extraordinary things, or at least have the potential to do extraordinary things. I think we get ourselves a lot in trouble and disempowerment when we focus on the concept of superhero.
No, just my
A lot,
metaphor.
so I mean, you just said that, and so it made me think about it, is that
Gotcha.
we don't have to be a superhero. We don't have to have a cape or like we all have quote unquote superpowers. We all have a zone of brilliance. We all have these things we were created by a larger power to give and serve with. But I think we can do it like we can do it in the most, I'll say, average way, the most ordinary way. It's a pretty ordinary thing for a good human to want to help another good human. That's pretty ordinary. I don't mean ordinary in a bad way. I mean ordinary.
I understand.
Human beings subscribe to that. We want to help one another. It's in our DNA. And if we don't want to help one another, there's something that happened there. There's a story, right? Because we're actually made to support one another and to really be there for one another. So, when we can do that, that's why we feel fulfillment, because it's like, yeah, this is what I was designed to do, and I'm doing it. So I feel fulfilled in my design. I feel fulfillment in my service as I was designed to serve.
Yep.
And it doesn't even have to be that special. What it amounts to is something special in the long run, but it can be an average thing. It's you being curious. It's you going, there's a little kid in the middle of the night, not middle of the night, but at night under a street lamp. I'm curious. I wonder what's going on there. And that curiosity leads to you asking more questions and then doing what comes naturally in an ordinary way.
Gotcha.
Ordinary is extraordinary if we allow ourselves to just be it.
I heard. So before I go, let's say, Nathan, thank you. There's a saying about the 6 P's. Proper planning prevents piss poor performance. May have to change it to proper purpose. Thank you, Nathan.
And it's an alliteration.
Yep. Kenny Smith at 12th grade, beginning of 12th grade, at the end of his junior year. So Kenny Smith's a basketball player, played for the Houston Rockets, went on to win a couple of championships, and he's on he's a broadcaster now. But anyway, he tells his story that he was at the end of the junior year, he really didn't have a single offer from any college. And he said to himself, I want to be in the NBA. I want to play in the NBA. Some of his coach said, you want to play in the NBA? It's like, yeah. He says, nah, you don't have the grit. You don't have it in you to do it. What you've been showing me, you don't have it. Show me, and I will tell you you can. And what Kenny Smith said, he said instead of taking the elevator, he walked up the stairs. Instead of walking up the stairs, he ran up the stairs. Instead of walking across the lot, he ran across the lot. Instead of doing 10 push-ups, he did 20. Instead of taking 50 shots, he did 100. And he closed it with this. He says, I wasn't extraordinary. I just did extraordinary things.
Yeah.
I did ordinary things more. Just kept doing. So in line with, when I was saying superheroes, I was just using a metaphor, just come out and do it. But in line with getting to being to your state of executing why you are here, it's just doing extraordinary things daily that you will find yourself extraordinary.
Yes, and doing them for the right reasons.
Correct.
Doing them because you have passion and purpose for it. Because I think the one thing I hear from a lot of people is the missing common denominator in their own lives is themselves. I'm doing this for this person, this for this person, and this and this and this and this. And I'm like, well, what are you doing for you? Well, this, it feels good. Yeah, I know it feels good, but on what level? Because when you get right down to it, a lot of times people feel good because it's like, I'm seeing to obligations, and I'm doing what other people want from me. And I'm like, but does that fuel you? Let's really get real. Does that fuel you? You know, is that what you were designed for? So, I mean, that was the one thing that was the most consistent in all the men at Butner who I worked with, is that when they got right down to it, I was like, did you do any of this ultimately for you? And most of them are like,
Wow.
actually, now that we've gone through all of this and sit back and look at it, no,
No. Wow.
none of it was for me. Because if I had chosen, I would have been a rock star. I would have been at something else. I did. I even what I went into for a living, politics or rank, reaching for the high ranks in the military. That wasn't for me. If I get real and honest with myself, that wasn't for me at all. That's not really what I wanted to do.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
and I'll tell you, and I've said this before, misalignment in our identity. If we are making decisions and taking action and producing an identity and a life that is not our own, we will live in misalignment. Misalignment with who we were really designed to be. Misalignment breeds misaligned decisions, misaligned courses of action. We cannot have fluidity and congruency in our lives when we are acting from a place of misalignment. We will always have misaligned results. I didn't quite get there. I didn't really get to where I wanted to go because we're working from a place of misalignment. And 9 times out of 10, it's completely unconscious to us. So this work is important. Being able to dive in and really, really understand, discover, define, and align these things for ourselves will mean that we are activating from a place of alignment. And alignment, you want balance, you need alignment. Balance is a natural outcome of living in alignment. And it's always being realigned. We could be aligned and then something comes in and it swoops us off and knocks us off our, and we need to get back in alignment. Or time goes on and things change and what we wanted, we don't want anymore. What we thought, where we thought we wanted to be, now we want to be someplace else. And if you're a visionary, that usually happens every 5 minutes. So, it's really, really foundationally important.
You say that, and what I do with clients, so work with a couple clients here and back in the States, is realigning their businesses. And when I heard you say that, and when light bulb just went out, the key, Nathan, I'm going to come and hit that question after this. You companies, churches, etc., you find that they don't know what their fundamentals of being are, or what the fundamental is.
Ding, ding,
It's
ding. Yeah.
the core values. What are your core values, right? When you find your core values, you find your mission, what you do, vision, what you see, what you do and come into completion, and your purpose, why you do it. So when everything that you do, when your objectives and your assumptions and the environmental analysis based on those things, on your fundamentals that you have defined, your objectives and your strategies will never be misaligned if you know that everything you're doing is based on your core values, your mission, vision, and purpose. So when you realign them, you find that waste drops off. So we talk Six Sigma now, where there's a whole lot of things you're doing in your business or in your life that you are just doing it because they've been grandfathered, because you saw somebody do it and it worked. But mind you, it worked for the business based on their fundamentals, but it's not based on yours. So you're doing something that does not align to your, I call it your CMVPs. And I will say what I find is after we redo a business model and we start executing, more money starts to come in. Why? Because now there's passion and purpose that is tied
There's
in,
alignment.
and things are going properly. But Nathan comes in here and says, how do we break the generational societal culture of doing for others before ourselves? And I'm going to say, let me answer this with what I've heard you say, and I would say it in just one statement, and I will paraphrase it. In order for me to help you, I have to help myself. Remember what you said? It was 2, 3 years ago, you said, Wulwyn, it's not selfish in order for me to amply empower myself, because if I don't empower myself, how can I help you? And I'm not here to help you. I'm not here to aid you. I'm here to guide you, and then you keep
Support
going
you. I'm
because
here to support
support you. Correct. So I'll answer that, but then I'm going to throw it down to Tracy and you. Hey, take it off.
That is a fantastic question, first of all.
Yep. Yep.
And I think that because he's right, it's generational. Like we get passed down, it's the, 100 monkey thing. Like we get all that passed down to us,
Mm.
and it becomes part of societal cultural norms, right? Which then it's just like everybody's just looking around going, well, what is everybody else doing? Okay, I'll do that, and we're not really thinking that we think because everybody's doing it, it must be the right thing to do. So it's really about, going again back to the book, looking in, like it's all about starting with self, because there's two things to that analogy that people use ad nauseum, including me, which is the putting the oxygen mask on yourself analogy so you can assist others. The part that they don't say is so you're not a liability to others, right? Because you can only assist others if you can breathe, right? If you have what you need to assist. But if you don't, then you rely on others to take care of you. You become a liability. So you want to be an asset, and you don't want to be a liability. That's why we do that. But also too, we can only rely on ourselves in those regards. Not to say we can't get support from others, but when it comes to making the determination of our time, right, which is a valuable resource, where we give our allotment of time and energy and focus, right? Where we take that time that is precious and the energy, which is what we have to give and create with, right? And we focus that in the direction that we want to see things grow, right? Only us. We are the only one that can do that. And if we're just kind of haphazardly like, oh, I'm supposed to be spent, I don't know how I'm supposed to spend my time, or, I was told, my mother told me I need to do X or whatever. I mean, what do you want to do? What do you feel your time, your energy, and your focus is going to best create? And those in systemic work, there's three things that are important. And notice everything comes in threes, right? Three things that are important is understanding the position of something. Is it in its right aligned position? Right? Timing, right? Is the timing right? And exchange. Is there equal exchange? Because if any one of those things are off in a system, the system's going to be off. And when the system's off, every individual and element within the system's off. Right. So it isn't just about self, but we start with self because it's the only thing we can control. Right. So in our own system that makes up, the system that makes up me, I have to look at where I want to position myself that is going to be best in alignment. And to your point, well, when, we go through in businesses, core values and all that, personal life, I go through the what, how, where, what is, what is my design? In other words, what is my unique value? How do I want to deliver that value into the world? And where is it going to be most valued? Right. Correct. So if we know those things, then we can use that as a measurement device so that when we're making choices and opportunities are coming and things are happening in our lives, we can take that as a measurement and go, okay, how does it line up with these things? Does that opportunity line up with these things? Yes or no? If it doesn't, it's probably not going to be the right position for me, the right timing, and the right exchange in my life. Right. Yeah. So we can always work intentionally to do this. And as each of us does that, we are able to play our own unique part in shifting that generational societal norm, right? Of saying you need to do what the whole society needs you to do. No, the society needs from you to be authentic. The society, even if it causes upset, because that's your role. If you being you causes a bit of upset, guess what? There needs to be that role in the whole thing. If you're being authentic and you're being genuine and you're being compassionate and you're being real and you're setting boundaries and you're clarifying them and you're communicating them with love and generosity and kindness, then that's the role you're meant to play.
Yeah. Yeah. Nathan, I'm going to answer it this way. In a backwards kind of way. So how do we break the generational society culture of doing for others before ourselves? And it's going to go back to passion and purpose. Our passion and our purpose are never for us. I was not placed on earth to do for Wulwyn. I was not even placed on earth to do for my family. That's so that radius is so small that you can do it in your sleep per se. But we were placed on here to do seismic shifts, right? I mean, just come in and change for people. It's always about people. So once we can find it in ourselves, in order for me to have found my purpose and my passion, Tracy, I had to get away from others. And I mean, when I say get, I got away for maybe 3 or 4 years. And it was me leaving my job, leaving everything. And it wasn't designed by me. It was designed by God saying, hey, you come on, let's find who you are. Because I know you have an idea of who you are, but let's do it my way. And after I had gone through it through and understood, why do I love to build? I thought I was supposed to be a software engineer, so I was building software. No, I'm supposed to build people. I'm supposed to build infrastructure. And I'm finding those things out in my introspection, and I'm being selfish at the time. I'm being very
You're being
selfish with
self-reflective. I think we
with
need to
no. So
distinguish.
no,
Yeah.
no. The reason I'm saying that word is intentional, because people will say you're being selfish, and I want to agree with them and say, you know what, I was being selfish, but look what it turned out to be. What the world perceives as selfish is you preparing in order to pour back into the world.
Then
So
it's
the
not being
world,
selfish.
I under, I no, no, under, I,
By
you,
definition, I will disagree. We will agree
I
to
know,
disagree. It's
but
not
but
selfish under
people
any circumstance.
people will say you're selfish. I'm
People will
going
say,
from
but that
their
doesn't make it
view.
so.
I know, but I'm going from their viewpoint of what they will say. So let me land. So what you perceive as me being selfish is me preparing in
There we go.
order for me to come and give back. What they will perceive of being you being selfish, where you're saying, you know what, I want to do for others first and not do because the world will say I'm selfish. No, you're preparing yourself to give back to the world. You're not being selfish. You're going through a purpose to find your passion, and your is an exercise that makes you do extraordinary things without you even thinking about doing it, because you're driven by that deep deep knowing of who you are.
So what
You
you
can go
just
ahead.
outlined is really important, because I think what's happening here is we're putting the cart before the horse, and you just described the process of putting the horse before the cart. Is that, we all know that we're here for more than ourselves, but people think you're supposed to go straight to that. In order to do for
Mm-mm.
others, you have to do what they tell you to do for them. And that's where they got it wrong. That's where they're putting
Nope.
the cart before the horse.
Mhm.
And so the horse is in saying, we need to figure out what our ability, our capacity, our desire, our drive, our passion, our purpose.
Yep.
Because as the horse that is going to be supporting and servicing the cart, being the people, the world,
Yep.
right? I have to know what my capacity is there. I have to know, am I well placed? Am I made to pull a large cart or a small cart? Like,
Yep.
I need to know these things so that I can align myself.
Yes.
And by doing so, I will be of best service in the world. But I can't stick
Yes.
the cart before me and say the cart dictates how I need to serve it. And that's what's
Mm-mm.
happening. That's what people
Mm.
are doing. They're like, oh, but yeah, I get that concept. We're here to serve the world, but I'm just going to go straight to that instead of
Nope.
preparing ourselves to serve the world and understanding exactly in what measure and in what way and what unique capacity we are there to do that.
They're getting a half baked you,
That's
right?
it.
If,
That's
if
it.
if you're putting the cart before the horse, it's getting a half baked person that you don't have the capacity, and the world will expect you to deal with this situation. But had you done your preparation and your training through the time and energy and all the different permutations of ups and downs and ifs and whatnots and whys and where, how, when you really go through and get those 10,000 hours, I keep repeating 10,000 hours, right? When you get those 10,000 hours done, when the world presents the ninth hour, or the 10th, or the thousandth hour. You've seen that permutation, or you've seen something along those lines that will give you information on how to tackle. And even if you don't know how to tackle, best believe that you have a way to point them somewhere where they can find a solution.
Hmm.
Ay, ay,
For
ay.
sure.
Ay, ay, ay. Wow. Tracy, this.
I think we need to call this "Put your cart before your horse." Put your horse before your cart, not put your cart before your horse. Put
Yes,
your
put your
horse
horse.
before your cart.
Put your horse before their cart. Jeez. Because this is
Before
what I
the
mean, what
cart.
yeah, this is what Nathan says, they doing for others before ourselves, and the world points and say, no, you're not doing it right. You're supposed to be
Yeah.
doing it for me. And
Yeah.
even in relationships, like
Yep.
I learned to say no early. And Verlin tells me, Wulwyn, you're so easy with your no's. I'm like, yeah, baby. I said, no, I can't do it right now, sweetheart. You saying sweetheart with the no too? I'm like, yeah, sweetheart, no, I can't do it. In fact, this morning, the driver hears her in the communication saying, be here at 8:30 in the morning. But she says, I need to be there at 8:30. But he heard, be there, be here at 8:30
Oh, so he needed to
a.m.
pick her up at 8:30, and she needed to be where she needed to be at 8:30.
at 8:30. And she's an hour away from this place she's supposed to
Oh,
be.
she had to leave
So
at 7:30.
she wakes up at 6:30, she gets ready. I'm bunking. And she comes and, whoa, and the driver is just getting in the shower. He cannot be here. I have to be there at 8:30. Can you drive me there now? I said, well, I have to take a shower, brush my teeth, and do all. And she's like, no, you have to. I said, no, then I can't really help you. I really can't, because I have a meeting at 10 o'clock. If I go west, I have to come back
Wow.
east and then continue going east, further east, and I will miss my. And she says, okay, I'll just drive. If I had been the guy who wasn't, and it's not me being selfish to my wife. No, I knew she could drive. She's never driven in Liberia, and it's terrible, terrible here. And I'm going, Lord, please let her get there. The point is, I said the no, I needed to be somewhere to have a meeting. Had I been there late, I would have looked very, very unprofessional. I wasn't selfish to her because I knew she could drive. And all she had to do was take her time. The motorbike's coming in front of her and doing is just take your time and get there. And by the time I could turn around, Tracy, she called and said, "Oh, the driver met me at this point, and he's driving now. We're good.
They worked it out. Well,
It
it's
worked out."
allowing people their capacity, because I think a lot of times when we think we're helping people, we're really saving them from something that they need to work out themselves. And so that's a really great example of that, because we know, we're looking at what I heard you say is you looked at the playing field. You had said yes to this kid and making sure that you were there to pay for his tuition and get things, going and dealing with all that stuff, right?
Mm,
So that was your priority, and that was your mission and passion and purpose today.
yeah.
You assessed that your wife, that this was something she was capable of, she had the time to
Mm,
do, and that she had shown that
mm.
she had already signed herself up for this particular mission. So just reminding her that, you can do this. I'm
Oh
supporting you
yeah.
by telling you to just take your time, don't let the motorbikes throw you off, all of that. And, go do you. Go
And she
realize you're capable.
and
Go
she
learn
she
how to do that for yourself.
correct. And she came up with it. She was like,
Oh yeah,
I'm
both of
just
you. Yeah.
as soon as I said I couldn't, she says, I'll drive myself. I'm like, and then because I wasn't thinking about that option, she said, I want to drive. I said, you will
Solutions.
drive,
Yeah.
you will drive here, honey. Ah,
Love it.
but
Love it.
Tracy, we're 2 minutes. Hey, come on, give us a wrap up and a goodbye.
Well, that is a perfect example of empowerment, if I've ever heard of it. Nobody went into victim, nobody went into rescuer, nobody went into perpetrator. Oh, you're perpetrating me by not helping me. Nobody did that.
Mm,
Everybody stayed in empowerment, and everything worked out great. And this is how
mm.
life works when we stay in empowerment. So hats off to both of you for being a great model of what that looks like today. Thank you very much, Wulwyn. and Verlin. But it's great to see everybody. Nathan, Jeff, and who was the first person on?
Melvin. It was Melvin.
Melvin, number one on today.
And there were a whole lot of other people who joined, but they didn't comment. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, thank you all for being here. And thank you for those who actually gave us a shout out and spoke with us and engaged with us, because we love that. But, hopefully we'll see y'all next couple weeks again.
It has been a lovely day. And look forward to seeing you guys again. You'll take care of yourselves. Traci.
Thank you, my friend.